Well, it's been a couple days since my last episode of Truck Talk, and this time I'm driving again, so I just wanted to cover a couple things. The first thing was the Kathy Griffin issue. Liberals say some stupid stuff, and I find it hypocritical that some of the conservatives in my party are ripping her head off, no pun intended, for doing the beheading skit about beheading Trump. That's part of freedom of speech. Sometimes speech is offensive, and just because it's offensive doesn't mean we should censor it. So I'm all for protecting her rights. She has every right to be stupid, and she has all freedoms to say stupid things, with the exception that what she did was not a crime. And when you do a skit where you're beheading the President of the United States, the sitting active President of the United States, that could be perceived as a threat to national security and could be breaking some laws. So, and could also be inciting a potential assassination attempt on our president. So, I support her up until that point. If she's breaking the law, then there's nothing we can do about it. But she's suffering the consequences of her own liberal, progressive views because CNN beheaded her from their network, cut her from the shows, and apparently she's losing a lot of endorsements, which to me is kind of ridiculous. Yes, when she's on CNN's network and represents them and makes certain claims that make CNN look bad, they have every right to fire her. But all the other endorsements are not related, and just because she's popular, I always found that ridiculous. Like, I kind of hate it when people work for certain companies and they do provocative videos stating their political stances on things, and then companies fire them when their video is personal, has nothing to do with the company. And I've just always been against that. A company should really have no say in what you say on your videos. But since she was actively part of CNN, had a show on CNN, had a contract with CNN, and then did that, she does represent CNN badly, so they had every right to let her go, even though they didn't let her go because they felt bad for what she did. They let her go because it made them look bad. Kind of like today, we had these terrorist bombings. You had the bombing in Kabul in Afghanistan where it killed 90 people, and then you had this attack over in the Philippines at one of the resort hotels there where a lot of people died. And guess what? It's terrorists involved, but the terrorists deny doing it. You know why? Because a lot of civilians died. And when civilians die, they know it looks negative on them. So they cut ties with it, even though they're the ones, for a fact they're the ones who did it. Because who else would bomb a diplomatic area and kill 90 people? Who else would have that kind of a bomb-making facility and then not take credit? I find it garbage that they're severing ties from their own actions. But that's exactly what CNN's doing. They're severing ties from their own political philosophy that Kathy Griffin just openly came out and stated. And they found out that lots of people don't like their views. So CNN tried to distance themselves from their own political standpoint, which I find absolutely hypocritical. But what do you expect from liberals and leftists? That's the kind of crap they do all the time. They support... Sorry, I'm trying to adjust my camera so I'm centered, but I don't want to get too involved with it because I'm driving. But anyway, they always support psychotic viewpoints, and then when there's a backlash to it, then they have to I'm gonna have to change this where I'm kind of holding it. I need to fix this real quick because I'm in California, and actually it's nationwide. It's against the law to do this, so I can't pull over right now. So I'm just gonna set it up here and get it fixed again. And whatever it is, as long as you hear what I'm saying, that's the point of the matter. So, they distance themselves from their own standpoint because they find out it's not so popular. Just like with Hillary Clinton's election, they like to cite the popular vote, but yet Donald Trump won. They don't want to admit, oh my gosh, they don't want to admit that their popular vote was actually a cheat. They had illegal immigrants voting for them. My goodness. I took my truck into service and the mount is all messed up now on my dash cam holder. So anyway, side notes. So I just wanted to cover that real quick, about that censorship issue. Censorship is getting psychotic in this country, where, you know, they're removing flags and all kinds of monuments and stuff, and I did another video about that. But censorship is getting crazy, where YouTube is now pulling people's advertising because their money because of the things they're saying. You know, what kind of garbage is that when you've got people who are viewing those channels on YouTube? That's potential customers. So any company that pulls their advertising from potential customers is doing stupid, retarded political business. And we're already seeing how that affects companies like Starbucks. When Starbucks starts getting political, people stop buying Starbucks. When Target starts getting political with who can go to their bathrooms, people stop buying from Target. And these dummies in management don't figure it out because they have no respect for people in reality. They just have their political agendas, their globalist communist agendas that they want to pass, and it's everything else be damned. So one final thing, speaking of globalist communist agendas, I am so glad that Trump pulled us out of the Paris Climate Accord. That accord is garbage. I go online and I see all these unhappy faces from people who make quick one-liners, and they try to overwhelm the news report. And I find it hilarious because those are all your communist paid people. Those are George Soros supported Antifa type revolutionaries who don't even know what a climate accord is about. The climate accord has nothing to do with climate change. It doesn't do anything to change climate. The climate change or affect climate change, because really climate has been changing before man was even recorded on the earth. So this whole climate change thing is garbage. They're even showing the sun is having a whole bunch of solar flares right now. Mankind doesn't even touch the sun. So what do you liberals have to say about that? What do you leftist psychos have to say about that? You talk about science, you guys don't really know science, because if carbon dioxide is such a problem, carbon dioxide is the main chemical component in the chemical reactions of photosynthesis, where plants take carbon dioxide and water and they make sugar and starches to feed themselves and to grow. So most of these people who claim they know science are absolute retards and propagandists, and they're trying to get us to agree to be slaves. I had this one argument with a socialist, and no matter how online, and no matter how rational and logical you are, you can't get through to them, because it's not about logic or rationale. It's about an ideology. They just want to be able to be Robin Hood. They just want to be able to be Robin, in other words, not Robin Hood, because they could care less about stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. They just want to steal from everybody. And they think, a lot of these henchmen think that they're going to get the money, but they're actually working as slaves for the main globalists who are actually going to get all the money. So all your elites who are at Bilderberg conferences today until the 4th, those are the people who are going to make the money, not you retards. They're going to pay you a couple thousand here and there just to get you to protest so that you'll lose your rights. Once you lose your rights, you're not making money anymore. It's not about you anymore. So this climate change accord that Trump pulled us out of is the best thing for America, because America is the one that's losing. We're putting it so that other countries can pollute, and then we're not allowed to pollute anymore. In other words, we're not allowed to have any industries, because as it stands with our current technology, we don't have the ability to control the pollution, which in a way that I don't completely agree with. I think we have phenomenal technologies, but no one's really thought about how to use them to actually eliminate pollution. I'm actually all for eliminating pollution. It has nothing to do with global climate change, because to me, climate changes all the time, and I don't believe in this greenhouse effect thing. All that Al Gore stuff was just a way for Al Gore to buy mansions where he could leave the lights on and not have any solar panels. He's such a hypocrite. And all you dummies who support that don't even check that fact, which is all over. It's in the public domain. You can see pictures of his own house where he has the lights on. He's not even home. And some of you liberals are like that. Your brains, you have your eyes open and you're talking as if the lights are on, but there's no brain activity. You're not thinking. You're just spouting out the propaganda. I mean, you look at these colleges where they, like, especially this one Black Lives Matter movement, where they started attacking all the white professors on the campus. And if you look at their crowd assemblies where they're spewing statements, the people are reading from these sheets of paper and they can't even read. That's how stupid these people are and uneducated they are, so that the globalist communists can get into their brains, because they have none. They're not using them. They're not even actually going to school and learning anything. Instead, they're doing marching protests against their teachers who happen to be white, which is totally retarded. If you believe that there's white privilege, why not listen to your teachers? You'll get some of that privilege if you're black. That's the stupidest movement, to try to expel all your white teachers from your school and then you claim white privilege. How retarded. If you believe in white privilege, try to get some of it, dummies. That's how it tells me this racism movement is all garbage. It's all about communism, and they're using the front of racism, and they do that all the time. They do that with the gay, lesbian, gay, transgender movements, bisexual, transgender movements, where they get people all riled up and they claim that they're homophobic if they don't agree with their garbage. And really, the agenda that they're protesting for is not about LGBT rights. It's not about any of their movements. It's more about communism. Sorry, I'm parking. It's about communism. It has nothing to do with, yikes. Well, now that I'm parked, I can just hold it. It has nothing to do with their rights as human beings and that they're being disrespected. So it's stuff that we really need to think about when we're out in the world today, and when we're voting and when we're supporting political parties. You got to look at really deeply what's going on, and you got to educate yourself. You know, if you're not educating yourself, then you're allowing these banker globalists to come in and take your rights. And you think it's bad what Donald Trump has done, but what he's done is really good, because this was just a banking scheme to tax you for your carbon footprint. That's what they were doing. They want to tax you for your carbon footprint. You know that when you inhale carbon dioxide, you exhale 100 times more than you inhale. Think about that. So if carbon dioxide is such a problem, if you don't exhale the carbon dioxide, by the way, you die. Your body needs to maintain a certain balance of carbon dioxide. It's called homeostasis. Study it if you're all about science. Homeostasis. If there's all this carbon dioxide that's destroying everything, it'll destroy us too. And I don't see people dying from carbon dioxide. That's not what we're dying from. We're actually dying from the genetically modified foods we're eating, that we're allowing the drug companies to get involved in food and to sell us these medicines and these vaccines. People are getting cancer from all these things. It's not natural anymore. So we're in a world where the government and the banks have just totally destroyed everything. This is why I like cryptocurrencies and why I've been showing people a lot about them. Is it possible the governments are involved with that too? Yes, it's totally possible. But I mean, at this point, what can you do? They're controlling gold. They're controlling silver. They're controlling the dollar. They're controlling the euro. There's no way to really balance out and protect yourself when the currencies finally do collapse. So to me, the best thing is these digital currencies in the short term until you can find another solution. So look into the cryptocurrencies. You're going to be late by the time you do it. It's scary. Of course, everything is scary. Everything I've done in my life is scary. You know, I've never really done anything that I knew was a master at before I did it. You know, I just went and did it along the way, and I learned along the way. You know, and that's just how you do things. You're never going to have complete information before you do anything. My last marriage was a mistake, because my ex-wife didn't want to have kids because she wanted to have everything perfect before we had children. And I told her, it's never perfect when you want to have kids. You can never have it perfect that way. There's no way you can foresee the cost of having a child. You don't know how much they're going to eat. You don't know how much they're going to poop, so you need diapers. You know how fast they're going to grow, so they outgrow their old clothes. You got to buy new ones. Now that I'm a parent and I've had kids, I totally understand that philosophy. So if you're the type that waits to have kids, waits till everything is perfect before you have kids. Now, first of all, before I'm going to say the caveat before I complete that sentence. If you can't afford your house, your car, or anything, you're absolutely underwater and you're in debt, that's totally different. You don't want to have a child and not be able to feed them or house them or clothe them. That's absolute disservice to the child, and you're not being realistic to yourself. But if you have a house and you can feed them and clothe them and buy them toys and stuff and get them educated, then by all means have a kid. Don't wait until you're a multimillionaire to have a kid. You know, you're going to wait and wait and wait. And I have a lot of friends who all they did was focus on their careers. They were like, I got to be successful first. They focused on their careers and they became successful and very, very prestigious in their own respective fields, and no kids. And they're all old now, to the point where they can't even have kids. They could try, but your chance of having a child with autism or some other birth defect is there. It's higher, much, much higher when you're older, because your body's getting to the point where it doesn't heal as well anymore. I mean, I'm almost 40 and I'm feeling it now. I'm starting to feel sore in places I never used to feel sore in. I still look young and feel young, but I'm starting to feel what I hear a lot of people talk about. When old age comes around, you better get used to having pain. And that's the case. And I used to laugh at some of my friends in their 50s. They're always complaining about, man, I'm hurting in places I didn't know existed. You know, I'm starting to feel that a little bit right now. I'm almost 40. So, by the end of this year, I'll be 40. So don't wait when you want to start a business or you want to invest in something. The cryptocurrencies, I'm telling you, there's something that it's confusing at first. It's hard to grasp. Just go look at YouTube. We're fortunate to live in the technological age that we do, where you have YouTube and you have Hulu and you have Vimeo and all these different video type platforms where you can see instructional videos on how to do things. Go learn about it. Don't be left, because history has shown when currencies collapse, people starve to death. And right now, I posted a video. If you're on Facebook, you can look like a couple down from this video. It's about Venezuela. Venezuela was a socialist, communist country. Well, it was, because their economy is collapsing. Because we always tell people socialism is garbage, but the socialists want to keep arguing. All throughout history, you have socialism collapsing. But some people, for some reason, people don't look at history and they're kind of stupid. And a lot of the professors in college today are socialists, so they teach people that kind of garbage. So go and learn this stuff and get into it right away. All right, well, I'm going to cut that video short because it's starting to get long. I want it to be like a quick 10-minute, 5-minute, 10-minute, but now it's already 18 minutes, so I'm going to cut it right there. God bless you guys. I'll try to add some more videos if any more interesting stuff happens throughout the way. And you take care.